changes in my life, and I grew up. Really, this was my place where God really matured me and helped me become a man. And my father ultimately made it to this prison in 2019, but unfortunately he OD'd on BR and passed away less than 100 yards away from me. And I went on a journey. I ended up going to the because I had family who worked in this prison. I ended up going to the hole, leaving this prison, going up to Solano, and ultimately I was commuted. I was commuted though last year by Governor Newsom, and then I went to board in October, was found suitable, and today I'm here. Today I'm back in. Yeah.
Man, that is a crazy story, bro.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not expect that. So, I mean, at the age of 16,
Odin Valhalla Rising, now available on mobile and PC.
your father getting out of prison 10 days later, he takes you to go
Yeah.
murder the individual that shot you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you feel like you had any choice in that moment, or
In that moment, I had took away my own choices, right? Who I had chose to be, who I had chose to become. The reputation I was trying to uphold for myself told me that I had to do what I did. But the reality was that I did have choices, and I made poor ones at that time in my life. I know my father was with me. My father took me. Did his presence play a role? Yeah. He was my idol. He was the person I looked up to. He was the person I wanted to be just like my whole life. But at the end of the day, I like to take responsibility for my actions and know that I made a decision to take another young man's life and I was wrong.
now, do you have any message to that individual specifically,
Yeah,
or
and
his family?
yeah, I do. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I recognize today that like there were so many other options to handle the situation that we had found ourselves in, and uh, I made the worst decision, and I destroyed a family. I took a son, and I contributed to a lifetime of violence that's plaguing my community, and I was wrong. And I just want them to know that I understand that today, and I'm sorry.
I think it's interesting, right? Like a lot of people on the outside who have things to say about individuals who find themselves incarcerated can't understand what it's like to grow up in a war zone, where in certain moments it's you or me.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out a way to kind of cope with that, right?
Yeah.
Where it's not safe when you walk outside your door. So that is something that is very serious, and a lot of people, like I said, can't relate to that. But even through all of that, having lived through that, you still find a way to take accountability.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that that's a amazing thing, man. Clearly you've
Yeah.
shown remorse. Clearly you were found suitable and you were able to find your freedom.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's something that's also interesting to me in this situation is that you say you looked up to your father,
Yeah.
even though he had a reputation prior to getting out, right?
Mhm.
He had
Yeah.
served time in prison, and you
Yeah.
still looked up to him.
Mhm.
So it shows the importance of rehabilitating individuals while they're inside so
Yeah.
that they can teach those that look up to them.
Most
right?
definitely. Most definitely.
And that's why I commend you so much coming
Yeah.
back here, brother. Like
Yeah.
being somebody who has served this time, you could run far away from this place and never come back.
Yeah.
But you still find it in your spirit, in your heart to come here and mentor those who are not where you are on their journey.
Yeah. No,
And
most definitely.
how much does that mean to you?
It means the world. Like, I think you made a ton of important points even in your breakdown there. And the first one is that my father entered this system in 1970. And when my father entered this system, he didn't have this. He didn't have the programs. He didn't have between the lines coming in, and rehabilitation wasn't the focus. And therefore, every time he came into this system, he often left worse than he came. And one thing I wanted to make sure I did while I was here is that any positive opportunity I had, I took advantage of it, because I recognized how important it was for me to be accountable for who I was going to become in my future. And I recognize the reason why I'm so accountable and I try to remain accountable for all of my actions is because I recognize that accountability is what's going to shift my community and what's going to shift the culture in a lot of our communities around the country. And I think we have to go in and we have to show that every decision we make is important to the young people, even to the men here today. I was just telling them on the sideline that, like, you guys have to control the culture here, because the way you control the culture will determine the blessings that flow from this space, right? I was blessed by this yard, and I was blessed because other men on this yard had made decisions to control the culture, to be intentional about the way they presented themselves and the way they matured and showed other young men how to mature. And so I just find that important to come back and share that same message with them, because I know how important it was for me. And I know how important it's going to be if we want to get rid of these systems and get rid of these spaces and these places, because I don't think nobody should be in prison.
That's real, man. That's real. Now, I want to ask you something about legacy, right?
Mhm.
And what you want to be remembered for.
Yeah.
So when you dead and gone and up out of here, what do you want people to say about you? What do you want to be remembered for?
I really, I think about this often, but I really want, like, I really want to be remembered as being a good person, a man of God, a man who may have made some bad decisions early in his life, but he carried out the story of redemption to its fullest. I was at a graduation last night for USC. A brother who I spent time with on this yard graduated from SC, and I'm sitting there and I'm realizing, like, this opportunity is even before me. And I want to be remembered as a person who took advantage of every opportunity that he had, but most importantly, that in the taking advantage of opportunities, that I impacted my community and the world in which I live, that I left a bright spot and a smile and a sense of joy and happiness and life in the life of others. And so that's what I want to be remembered for.
Absolutely. And you will, man, for real.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you will. So inspired by your story, bro, for
Thank
real.
you,
And I
thank
appreciate you sharing, man.
I appreciate
you
it.
being so vulnerable in this moment.
No problem. I appreciate this opportunity.
Anything else you want to say?
Just thank you, man. Just thank you. And I thank God right now for this space, this opportunity. I thank my family and everyone who supported me along my journey. I recognize how important it is. So if anybody sees this, anybody watch this, if you got a loved one who is incarcerated, please support them, because your support can be the difference.